in every community a group of angelic troublemakers.
Social justice, power word, power word, power word. Social justice, power word, power word, power word.
Good evening to our friends on the East Coast. Good afternoon to our friends on the West, and good in-between time to our friends in the in-between spaces. Welcome back to the Social Justice Power Hour. Welcome to the virtual headquarters of the Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice. My name is Robert Seda-Schreiber. I am the chief activist here at the center and your host for this evening, as I have been for the past 300 some odd episodes, many of them very odd indeed. It has been a year. This is officially the start of our second year, and no better way to start it than with the creator of the beloved Mutts comic strip, Patrick McDonnell. Welcome to the Power Hour, y'all. I hope last week you got a chance to see. We celebrated our anniversary all last week with incredible, extraordinary, meaningful moments and powerful performances over the past year of the Power Hour. It's unbelievable, the journey that we've been on together, and I want to thank all of you for joining us in virtual community. We are so thankful for your company and your belief in what we are doing together. I want to tell you about some things that are coming up on the Power Hour, and I'm just giving you a sly smile because I'll give you a little behind-the-scenes tidbit for the start of our second year. Patrick was having a little trouble getting his beautiful face seen by me on the Power Hour here, and I see that he is hooking up, so he will be with us in just a moment. But before we start, I know that we have a huge audience already gathered together, because I know that Mutts is a truly beloved comic strip, and Patrick is a truly beloved comic strip creator. So since you're all here and you're a captive virtual audience, as it were, I do want to tell you that the Power Hour is here 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, every single weeknight. We just did a full year. We didn't miss one night. And we're really proud of that. We're really proud of creating this virtual community together. So I wanted to share with you some things that are coming up on the Power Hour, so you know what we can bring to you. Tomorrow night and every Tuesday night, we have free and fabulous queer yoga with our yoga master, Jasmani. Please do join us and take a breath, both literally and figuratively. And then coming up the rest of the week, Wednesday, we have Maurice Carlos Ruffin, who is an extraordinary storyteller, bon vivant, raconteur, and author straight out of New Orleans. You don't want to miss it. Thursday, we have Dave Cullen, who's the author of Parkland and Columbine, two of the definitive books on gun safety and gun control. He's also the author of the forthcoming book on gay soldiers, of which he is one, and he's going to recount his personal experience. And then Friday night, you absolutely don't want to miss the fabulous Jill Sobiul, our musician in residence here at the Power Hour. She's doing another all-star benefit concert. I'm going to name some names for you. Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles, Julia Sweeney from Saturday Night Live, Debbie Boone, Lights Up Our Lives, John Doe from X, and Dar Williams, just to name a few folks that are popping by Friday night. So don't miss that fabulous concert. And then coming up later on the Power Hour, this novel, Black Buck by Mateo Ascapor, truly a biting satire. 9 days, the race to save Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and win the 1960 election by the father and son team, Stephen and Paul Kendrick. Paul will be here to talk about the book, and we're very excited to have him with us. Coming up further on the Power Hour, David Brzezinski, who has taught me to appreciate folk music, and he does First Folk Friday, so he will be here on April 2nd with songs to further inspire us to evolve into consciousness. You don't want to miss it. And then we just booked these two last guests. Halalan, author of this book, The Arsonist City, and Punch Me Up to the Gods. This book is going to blow up. This is a memoir by Brian Bloom. So don't miss all of that. And that's just some of the highlights, y'all. There's so much that we have in store for you here in the Power Hour. So please do come back. As I said, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. But that's not why you tuned in tonight. You tuned in tonight for this man. Patrick McDonnell is the creator of the beloved comic strip Mutts, which now appears in over 700 newspapers in 20 countries, over 25 years in publication, and described by none other than Peanuts creator Charles Schulz as, quote, one of the best comic strips of all time, end quote. Patrick and the strip itself have received numerous awards and accolades over the years, especially for their sharp focus on environmental and animal advocacy, including recognition from the Sierra Club, the Humane Society, and PETA, among many, many others. Tonight, we're celebrating the release of Mutts Go Green, a special kids collection of the popular comic strip Mutts, featuring themes of ecology, environmental friendliness, and animal education. This special collection of Mutts for kids includes eco-friendly lessons on how to keep the environment clean, ways to help create a greener future for our furry friends and future generations. Mutts Go Green draws on Patrick's decades-long career of writing and illustrating heartwarming comics starring Earl the dog, Mooch the cats, and a host of other adorable animal friends. And all of us here at the Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice headquarters hope that tonight we can become Patrick's adorable animal friends as well. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming to our Social Justice Power Hour the delightful Patrick McDonnell. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
We made it. With all the technical difficulties, we made it.
I'm so glad, my friend. Thank you. It's great to see you, and we're honored by your presence tonight.
Oh, thanks. Well, I like the idea of you all being my cute animal friends, and I'll be a cute animal friend with you.
Sounds good. We're gonna work on that. So, you have been doing this for almost 30 years.
Well, you know, actually, we just celebrated the 25th anniversary last year.
Okay, well, I'd rather round up. I'm always going to round up. I'm a big fan of hyperbole. But all right, so 25 plus. Sounds good, my friends. You're keeping us honest already. It is just something that people adore. People just adore it. Did you know when you started that you were going to hit on something that was going to be so beloved?
Well, you know, I adore comic strips, so I've always been in love with the medium, Peanuts in general. So when I started Mutts, I always felt if I could give some of that comfort and joy back, that would be a nice thing to do. So, you know, I do a strip about a dog and cat, and people love their dog and cats. So I thought people might like it.
It was an easy sell.
Yeah.
So I want to raise up a name before I forget. I want to thank our mutual friend, Michael Tesserand, who was on the show. Seems like a few weeks ago, but it was even a few months now. Michael Tesserand is a great author. And when he was on the show, we had such a delightful time together. He introduced us to you, and I'm thankful to him for making that introduction.
Yeah, Michael's just wonderful. He wrote the biography of George Herman, who was the artist for Crazy Cat. And my wife Karen and I, quite a while back, wrote a book about Crazy Cat, an art book, and we helped Michael with the information we had, but man, he just wrote the definitive biography. What a wonderful book, and what a wonderful guy.
He is a wonderful guy. He is the epitome of delightful. So before we're going to show a lot of images tonight because, you know, I think talking about comic strips is like dancing to architecture, right? So we have a lot of stuff that we're going to share with the folks tonight so they can see all the fun and all the meaning too in your work. But before we do that, I do have one question to ask you because I'm really curious about this. Which came first, the advocacy or the comic strip? Did you know the comic strip would be your vehicle to express these important ideas that you've always wanted to share with the community? Or when the comic strip became so popular, did you see a chance for yourself to express these views?
You know, it was the comic strip first. You know, I went into it more with the love for the comic strip and wanting to, you know, try to bring that joy to the world. But then, you know, in my comic strip, because I was doing a strip based on my own dog Earl and cats I've had over the years, you know, I wanted the animals to be as animal-like as possible. I mean, you know, there's a lot of funny animals in the comics, but they usually act pretty human. So I was really trying to create a real cat and dog, because with you know, and also to explore that bond. I mean, the bond we have with our pets is a really strong one, and we all know our dogs and cats are funny. So I was trying to see the world through their eyes, and I think the more I thought about it, I started thinking about dogs and cats who were in shelters and didn't have happy homes, and you know, they just kept on expanding. I started thinking about other animals on this planet and how tough they have it. So it slowly became a part of the strip.
And has the pandemic affected the strip, affected how you work, affected the reception to the strip? Because I know that now, with people being in quarantine, they're more reliant on their pets and they're more cognizant of that relationship. Have you noticed a difference, you know, given all that?
Well, you know, I think probably one of the only pluses for this pandemic is dogs and cats. Boy, the shelters are clearing out of all the animals. People, you know, have time now for dogs and cats. And even in my own neighborhood, I walk my dog every day, and it was rare that I would see other people walking their dogs. But since the pandemic, oh my God, I see whole families walking the dog. So I think dogs and cats made out with this horrible year we've experienced, but I think it's been better for them. And I know shelters for sure have seen, you know, more people fostering and adopting pets. So it's been good for them. In my strip itself, you know, I decided to not really include the pandemic in the strip. I feel like people need a little, you know, a little resting place. So I kept the strip pretty much the same.
Yeah, and
On purpose. You know, I mean, I think there's little hints of it. I mean, you know, since I'm living through it, I think it's hard not to, some aspects of it probably creep up into the strip, but I'm not doing anything specific.
well, it is a great source of solace and strength, I think, to see and to know that those characters are there each and every day.
Yeah, you know, the comic strip art medium is a really strange, you know, that people really, you live with it every day. Every day there's something new. It's they become part of your family almost. I mean, that's the way I felt. So you know, every day, usually people read it first thing in the morning, and it's like having breakfast with a friend or with your family.
And it's wonderful that you can recognize that in yourself and your work. I think there are too many artists who don't allow themselves to appreciate what they're bringing to the community. So I'm so glad that you can see that and you can feel that.
Well, you know, I feel really blessed and lucky that, you know, I get a voice. I have a voice. I'm in the newspaper every day around the world. So, you know, it's hard not to think that you should be sending out some positive vibes.
But you've expanded. I mean, throughout your career, throughout this 25 plus years, you've taken risks, you've taken challenges, you've done some kids' books, you've done some things, you know, above and beyond the strip, and they've all been tremendously successful. And I think that speaks to the popularity of the strip, but also your talent and your spirit and your energy and what you bring forth to your work.
Thank you. Well, I love doing it, and you know, the outside projects are just a lot of fun. I mean, one thing about a daily comic strip, it pretty much stays the same. So, in the sense that it's always, you know, 3 panels and pen and ink. So I like doing other projects where I get to be a little more creative with different mediums.
So let's get to it. Let's show our audience, let's share with our viewers some of the wonderful things that you've done. We have a whole bunch of slides, so I'm pretty excited to show this. So this is the first one.
Okay, and I apologize. Technically, I'm working on 2 different computer screens. So if you see me tilt over, I have to read what you're showing.
No worries. So this is the Stinky's to-do list.
Stinky's to-do list, save the world. Wow. It's a good thing I got up early. So Stinky's my little animal activist in this strip. And, I thought that was the perfect strip for the social justice hour. And I always think of that quote from Mr. Rogers that his mother told him, that in times of disasters, always look for the helpers. And I feel like you and your show are the helpers, and Stinky's the helper in the Mutts strip.
That's very sweet of you to say. I'm a little vulnerable tonight, so you're going to make me cry. But it's beautiful because it encapsulates that idea that here's this monumental task, right? And Stinky's like, hey, I got up early. I can do it. No worries.
Exactly.
So,
and those are the type of people that do it. I'm lucky with Mutts. I get to meet. I've got to meet a lot of people who help animals, and that's their attitude. I'm so impressed with people that just get up every day and try to save as many animals as they can, and don't think twice about it. Just do it.
I read a quote, and forgive me, I don't have it exact. And this was sent to us, by the way. I do want to give a shout out to Chris, who's in our comment section, who has been with us almost from the start. And Chris will give you all the links to connect with Patrick on the social media channels, but also how to buy this great book, Mutts Go Green. It's on our Social Power our book list on bookshop.org. We love bookshop.org because they give back to independent bookstores. For us in Princeton, that's Labyrinth Books, who we love, who we partner with, and we think do great service to the community. But wherever you are, you buy the book from bookshop.org, and they give back to your local bookstore. So that's great. So go buy the book while we're talking. But Chris sent me a quote that you were asked about kids and what can you do to inspire kids. And you basically said, we don't need to inspire them. They are doing the work now, right? That you have this belief in the younger generation of what they can accomplish.
Yeah, no, I've been really inspired by young kids. I mean, unfortunately, we've kind of left them with not the best circumstances on this planet, but I think they're more than aware of that, a lot of them. And, since COVID, I haven't gone on any book tours, but when I used to go on book tours, I was always impressed with how many really young kids I'd meet who were already vegan. I mean, they'd have parents that said, neither of us are vegan, but our little 6-year-old insists on it. And I just think, there's something in the air. They know, when you look at Greta Thunberg, just amazing how I think there is a generation that knows there's things to be fixed, and hopefully they have the will to fix them. So I am hopeful. I also get a lot of hope from, I've also really been blessed with the opportunity to get to meet and work with Jane Goodall. And, Jane's all about young kids with her Roots and Shoots program. And, her autobiography was called Reason for Hope. And the main reason for hope is she just believes in this next generation. And so do I. And that's why I did this Go Green book. I thought for kids who are thinking about it, it'd be a fun way to approach the topic.
Do you mind? I would love to talk about that part of your advocacy for a minute, animal rights and veganism. It's a part of social justice that I'm not embarrassed, but I am sad that we haven't touched on enough in the Power Hour over the past year. We've had a couple of guests who we've talked to about, but it's ironic because my lovely bride is vegan, and we raised our son vegan. My son's 20 now, and he's been vegan his entire life. And it's kind of ironic that we haven't touched on enough on the Power Hour. So can we talk about that a bit? Why is it so important to you? And follow up, why is it so important to the world?
Sure, I'd love to talk about it. I don't get to talk about it that often in interviews, so I'm more than pleased to talk about it. It's so powerful for all the reasons. just, even selfishly for your own health. It's just so much healthier to eat a plant-based diet. And, the thing nowadays, God, I've been vegan for vegetarian for probably 30 years, but vegan for maybe 15, I think. And my God, it's simpler than ever. I'm in Princeton too. And actually just the other day we were walking in town and looking at the menus at different restaurants, and it's amazing how many V's for vegan on just typical restaurants. So I just feel like it's easier to do for sure nowadays. And so again, selfishly for your own health, but then for the health of the planet. I mean, producing meat is the reasons they're cutting down the rainforest. So they can raise cattle and bring out more meat. It's it's a big part of the ecology and the planet going to shit. Excuse my phrase there, because
Please, totally censored here. Speak your mind.
and then most importantly to me is just the animals. God, when you look at it, their conditions in factory farms and how miserable they have it on this planet, we are the devil when it comes to that. And I feel like to me, your own dog and cat are the gateway drug to becoming vegan. Because I think for me, when I really started thinking about my own dogs, my own cats, I mean, how's that different than a little goat or a little chicken or a little calf? They're all just souls on this planet and deserve a little better life than a lot of them have. So, so with Mutts, I talk about it every once in a while. I try not to preach too much. Hopefully they're still entertaining. But just recently, I in Mutts, when I started out, I had the dog and cat go to a little deli called the Fatty Snacks Deli, and for years it was weird because I just thought it was strange that a guy who's vegan and doesn't believe in eating that, a major character in my strip was a butcher at a deli because the dog and cat like to visit there. And just last year or the year before, I've always been promising that he was going to go vegan. And just last year, I had the Fatty Snacks Deli become a plant-based deli.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is something I'm very curious about. Because there is, first of all, it's crazy making that people don't realize how much better it is for our health personally, individually, and for our planet as well. I mean, the science is so much in favor of a plant-based diet. But there's so much resistance, and it's one of those things where people feel like their freedom has been taken away. It's one of those things that it gets wrapped up politically and spiritually within people's beliefs that it becomes this mire. So when you did this was a pretty big step to have your butcher become vegan. Was there any kind of blowback? Were there people who are like, hey, don't be putting your politics in my cat and dog strip?
Unfortunately, in the world we live in now, everything's political, which is really crazy. I mean, but I've been pretty fortunate with, I guess the people who read Mutts understand where I'm coming from. I didn't really get that much pushback at all for that, which I was surprised. I thought there would be more. So to me, that's another sign that more and more people are getting into plant-based alternatives. And I'm not preaching that everyone needs to do that. I mean, geez, when my wife and I first started becoming vegetarian, we decided we were going to eat meat just once a day. And then once a day became once a week, and then became once a month. And finally it was like, why are we even meat eating at all? So, I mean, people, even if they just did Meatless Monday, like millions of animals would be saved. And I see it more and more where people are trying the plant-based and enjoying it. So I think without even becoming vegan, I just feel like the world is getting closer to it.
But why do you think that? I do the same thing you do. So I'm not calling you on this. I'm calling myself on it as well. And a lot of us who are vegetarian, vegan, who believe in animal rights, and whenever we talk about it, we always couch it by saying, I'm not preaching. And do you think that we have been, even ourselves, coerced into believing that if we're just stating basic facts, that a plant-based diet is better for individual health and is better for the planet in general, is better for the economy, all the way around. But we still couch it in these terms of, I'm not preaching, but. And why do you think that is? Why do we get stuck? I feel like we're stuck in that trap. We're using their language when we should be proud of what we're doing and just want to share that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But I also feel like, food is such a personal thing. I think it's really tough for some people, and you don't want to get people angry about it. You want to me, if I can coat, just get even, a handful of people to try a meatless Monday or think differently about it. It takes time. So I mean, I agree with you. I mean, personally, I would love to scream about it, and and I feel like I do on occasion in Mutts. But I also feel like kindness is a good way to go too. So I think it's a combination of the two. But I just think it's slowly going to happen because it's the right thing to do. And I think I've always said it, and now it's coming true. I always felt like vegan chefs were going to change the world, and as these products become more and more tasty and as they become cheaper, that's really what's going to do it, I think.
And it's amazing, even fast food you find turning over, and you find that a lot of the chains are having wonderful trashy food that is vegan, and it's wonderful to be able to have, because the truth is I'm not a healthy eater per se. I just don't want to hurt animals while I'm eating. So I love junk food. So to find these options are now becoming so much more prevalent. It really is a kind of a new food order, as it were.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I do want to. We got a question. Someone from the audience, Chris, says, "I'd love to ask how it was to work with Eckhart Tolle, an amazing spiritual leader and powerful force to collaborate with."
Yeah, that was a book I did quite a few years ago called Guardians of Being with Eckhart Tolle. And Eckhart Tolle wrote The Power of Now, if you're not familiar with him, but just a great spiritual teacher. And boy, what a great book. I mean, it changed my life. And so I was a big fan of his and read all of his books and listened to his audio tapes. And, the artist in me really understood what he was talking about when he talked about being in the present moment. I think the artist in me really got that. And the other thing that he did a lot in his things, he talked about animals and how animals help us bring us to the present moment and get us out of our, the chattering head. And I started, underlying all the quotes he had in his books that talked about animals. And then I started playing with a few, I actually started doing some mud strips based on those thoughts, how Earl and Mooch, help you bring you into the present moment. And then I thought it might be interesting to combine my cartoons with his quotes. And I was lucky, my book agent knew someone from Omega up in upstate New York, and they knew how to get in touch with Eckhart. And we sent him a draft of what I was thinking about. And I was lucky that he said he liked the idea. So between the two of us, I'm not really a computer person, and neither is he. So I think his assistant and my wife did a lot of the communications back and forth. And I put the book together. He added some new quotes and fixed some quotes that he wanted to change a bit. And actually, probably a couple of months after the book was printed, I got to meet him in California at one of his talks, and I actually got to meet his dog too. So I thought that was pretty special to meet Eckhart Tolle's dog.
That's great. We have Jill says, I want to thank you for creating Mutts. The simple sweetness of all the characters is a balm to my soul and makes me happy.
That's the greatest compliment. That's what Peanuts was to me when I was a little kid. Every night I would read a Peanut strip before I went to sleep. So if someone's enjoying Mutts that much, that means a lot to me.
That's so sweet. And here's our friend Michael Tesserand, who we gave a shout out before. And he says, I'd like to know if Patrick thinks the renewed attention on pets during the quarantine might lead to greater support for shelters and animal rights organizations. And we had talked before about the shelter aspect of it. The shelters are emptying out much more quickly from people adopting pets. But animal rights organizations is a part of it we didn't talk about. Do you find there's more support for that as well? Are people translating their renewed or newly found or maybe newly recognized love of their pets because they're home so much into broadening that spirit to other animals and animal rights organizations?
I mean, I don't have the stats on that. I certainly hope so. I do think the shelter, people are now aware of their local shelter and how great it is to have a little furry friend in your life. So I think, and just being home, and I think having the, your pet there with you, I think you start understanding them better. And I also think, going back to the vegan point of view, I mean, this whole thing, they were talking about people eating bats, I mean, I think it's really helped wake up the idea of how we're producing meat, all over the world here with, that factory farms aren't healthy, not only for the animals, but eventually not going to be healthy for us. So, I know that was getting a lot of press in the beginning about, factory farms and how all the animals are grouped together and disease is going to happen. So hopefully people become more aware of that.
Yeah, I'm hoping myself too, right? There's so much of a reckoning that needs to happen from what's occurred over the past year. And I'm hoping that that is also right. That is one of the things that was focused upon early on and then got lost in the shuffle of the everything. So hoping in the new normal that we readjust so many things, including our eating habits and how we treat not only each other, but our animal friends, and looking at the whole picture. So speaking of, let's look at some more work, because you and I could talk all night and I'd enjoy it. But so here's the book we're talking about again that we're celebrating that just came out, Mutts Go Green, Earth-Friendly Tips and Comic Strips.
Actually, I think it comes out Friday, I think.
We're ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve, yeah, March 30th.
So go pre-order it. I was reading this weekend. This was delightful. This is The Art of Nothing. This is 25 years of Mutts and the Art of Patrick McDonnell. Now, how do you go about this? And there's your friend Eckhart Tolle, who did a forward, and Linda Barry, who I dig the most. I'm a fan of Linda Barry's work from back in the day.
Oh my God, isn't she the great? She's the great.
She's fantastic.
Yeah,
so
I was really lucky. My editor, we were trying to figure, maybe someone we could write a forward or something, and then we thought of Linda Barry, and she said she would do it, but so interesting. She said, you know what? I thought we would get on the phone and do an interview. But she said, let's become pen pals. And for 3 months, Linda and I exchanged letters like pen pals. And, my letters, I'm so loosey-goosey and, very sketchy looking. But her letters were like written by a monk. Her hand lettering, the little drawings she did on her letters. So at the end of the day, I thought she was going to put her letters with my letters, but she ended up just taking my letters and editing them and making a little collage out of them. That's included in the book. But someday I have to print her letters because they were beautiful.
I really think she's a genius. I think that what she does, and I don't want to go on and on about Linda Barry, but I could. But what she does a whole series on how to draw and really unlocking creativity for folks. So I want to tell folks, seek out Linda Barry's work. It's definitely worthwhile. But speaking of this book, how does one choose? So when one has 25 years plus one years of work behind them, how do you find the works that are most meaningful? Do you find work that you find that was important to you personally? Do you find work that was most effective for other people, that you've gotten the most response from, or do you find a healthy combination thereof?
Yeah, I think it's mostly intuitive, just things that felt right to me. With this book in particular, I really wanted to show the process, and my favorite things are my sketchbooks, which are, again, I love any artist's sketchbooks. I feel like they're so free and you really see the ideas come alive. So I included a lot of sketchbook pages in there that have never been printed before. And then I try to choose strips that just intuitively felt like they were important to me, or, and for different reasons, for, their message, but then again, just if they were funny, and just artwork wise, ones that I was proud of how they looked. And you never know, this is the second, I did a book a couple of years ago, The Best of Mutts, like after 10 years of Mutts. And when I would tell people that I was doing this book, they would, more times than, most, they would tell me what their favorite Mutts was. And not one person ever mentioned the strip that I included in the book. So people's taste of what they like are always different. So this book is probably more my taste, and hopefully, the readers will think they're good too.
Well, I have no doubt about that. I think that, and here, this is amazing. So I did not know this. Your work is on a license plate.
Yeah, right here in New Jersey. Quite a few years ago, I was asked, New Jersey was the first state to do an animal-friendly license plate, and 85% of the money goes to helping spay and neuter pets. So they were running out of plates, and they asked me if I could design a new animal-friendly plate, and I thought they wouldn't want to use mutts, and I said, could I use mutts? And they said, sure, we want you to use mutts. So it was a real joy. And it's nice when I drive around and you see a Mutts, animal-friendly license plate. Now that particular plate belonged to my mother, who was a great mom, but as you can tell, not the best driver. That plate's pretty beat up.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And here's another strip.
Yeah, I included this one because this was the actual first Mutt strip ever from 1994. And you see Earl with his head out the window and his tongue flapping. And then Ozzy gets out of the car and says, okay, we're home. And his tongue's, still flapping there. And I didn't realize when I did this strip, but I think it's autobiographical in the sense that I was a magazine illustrator for a good 10 years, or maybe even longer. And the whole time ever since I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a comic strip artist. And I kept on saying, I got to draw a comic. I got to draw a comic. And with Mutts, I finally did it. And, like this strip here, I really did feel like I was home. So I think that strip is more about me than it is about Earl.
And so did Mutts come to you fully formed? Did it evolve over the years, or was it something that came to you and like, this is it? I know these characters. I know this place. I know this tableau. I know what we're doing, and here we go.
Yeah, and, to a certain extent, it did come fairly formed. I was a magazine illustrator beforehand, and in my magazine illustrations, I kind of had a cast of characters, and it was the Ozzy character. It was this big guy with a mustache, a big nosed guy with a mustache, and I always drew this little white dog with a circle around his eye, and most of my illustrations just as a little friendly character. And when I started the strip, one of the things that inspired the strip wasn't only my illustrations, but I wanted a dog my whole life, and I didn't get one until I was in my 30s. And that dog was Earl, a little Jack Russell Terrier. And he was what really, actually, it might even be the next picture on the slideshow. Yeah, there he is. So that dog inspired. I said, yeah, I'm going to make the dog the star of the strip, and his owner's going to be the guy with the big nose and the mustache. And I really wanted it to be, about the dog and the bond we have with our pet, because I had such a strong bond with Earl. Earl was everything I'd want a dog to be for my first dog. And then I was playing around with it and sketching a few ideas, and I sketched a little black cat that I thought could live next door. And when I did it, I really thought it was going to be like a week's worth of jokes, but just the way cats are, Mooch came into the strip and took over, and then it became a dog and cat strip. And from there, the thing that's interesting about a comic strip, unlike a novel, you don't really know where you're going. It's more like daily life. You just kind of do it, and it evolves, but it's not like you have a destination. You just kind of enjoy it one day at a time.
And that's what your readers do too. So you're actually embarking on the same journey your readers are. You're enjoying it one day at a time, as they do each and every day when they open it up. And I love this one. So was this from the man himself?
Yeah. No, the greatest thing about becoming a comic artist was I got to meet my hero and become friends with Charles Schultz. And he did this for the cartoonists get together every year, the National Cartoonist Society. And we have a little Rubens dinner, and they put a program, and each artist draws a little cartoon, and he surprised me with drawing Snoopy with Earl, which, my God, I still can't believe it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that must have been the end all be all, huh?
He's the reason I became a cartoonist. Peanuts was my life, and when I showed him Mutts and he liked it, I felt like, okay, I could quit.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! All right, and here we have some more.
Ozzy says, sit, stay, shake, good boy. And Earl says, what I'd really like to learn is how to open the fridge.
So you think if we taught the animals to do that, do you think that's what's lacking? It's not that they can't do it, because they're never taught. They're never given the skill.
I've seen, not that you think about it, I've seen on different TV shows, I think pigs can do that. People have those little pot-bellied pigs, and I've seen pot-bellied pigs open the refrigerator. So, yeah, that could be dangerous.
So this when Mooch gets a new bed, but not so much.
Millie says, look, Mooch, new bed, great. Let me know how you like it.
So I love, I in my past life, I was an artist when I had time to actually sit at my table and get my fingers all inky. I love your use of negative space. And how do you, is that a natural occurring? Do you think about how you're going to lay things out? How much penciling do you do beforehand? And I don't want to get too wonky because I'm probably the only person watching interested in the process, but I find it fascinating. How much of it from, pencil smearing on the side of your hand to ink smearing on your fingers, is the process of the strip itself?
Well, the first process is the sketchbooks, which again, if you get the Art of Nothing book, you'll see how those look. And those I love because it's just your brain's just floating. And, the secret is to get out of the way. You just really get an open head and just start doodling. And those doodles lead to little funny thoughts. And so those drawings I love probably the most. But then when I actually do the strips, I do I pencil everything, and I do a fairly light pencil. And then when you ink it, you really try to capture the emotion.
Are there any strips that don't work? Have there been strips where you've actually completed it and looked at it and said, you know what, I'm starting again. This just didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen.
Honestly, I think that happened a little more in the beginning because, boy, I really didn't. I wanted to be a comic strip artist my whole life, but I really never realized how crazy the job is. And I definitely learned on the job. So the first couple of years, there were probably, quite a few that didn't make it. Nowadays, God, I've been doing it for 25 years. So it's very, very rare that I would throw something out.
Yeah, so that must be nice. And here's another one. This is Earl and Mooch together.
Earl says, I'm a dog, he's a cat, yet we understand each other completely. And they look at each other, and Mooch says, what are you talking about?
So timing is something that's so important in comic strips in general, but in your work especially, because you're talking about this platform of a cat and a dog, which in the hands of a lesser artist could become banal, could become repetitive, but you always seem to find the timing that makes it work.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most important things in doing a comic strip is the rhythm and timing. I still play drums, but I used to be a drummer, so I think that helps. But it is all about timing and pacing.
So we can. That's the first set. So we're going to the second set now, and this is a piece you did, and I love this for many reasons. But tell us about this piece.
Well, I wanted to talk about how I got into the so I was doing this strip for I think a year or two, and and Earl and Mooch have nice homes and guardians that love them, but I kept on thinking about all the dogs and cats in shelters who didn't have that. So I figured I was trying to figure out a way I could put that in the strip. So I started in my sketchbook doing stories about shelter animals, and then the Humane Society of the United States had gotten in touch with me and said that in November was National Animal Shelter Appreciation Week, and could I do something about that? And I thought, wow, that's the perfect week to do these stories I've been playing with. So that slowly became part of the strip, and twice a year I do 2 weeks worth of strips about animals and shelters to promote adoption and fostering.
I really want to make this crystal to our audience. So for 2 weeks every year, you spotlight this.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal. And again, getting wonky though, I see that crown on top, and it reminds me of Basquiat. And I love the always seeing that kind of when art kind of informs and makes you think of other things, makes you see other things. It's a great poster. It's really strong.
Oh, thanks. And yeah, God, Basquiat was the best. And in my strips, in the Sunday pages, we have things called title panels, and I try my best to do little homages to my favorite artists, and I've done quite a few with Basquiat.
I don't know if I'm gonna try to get it on the screen so you can see it. But
Oh, nice.
there's my crown, my tattoo. And it's the imperfect crown, so it makes me humble. It's not a grandiose thing. It's more like, remember, feet on the ground, and nobody's perfect, baby, right?
That's right.
All right, so here's is this a Sunday strip? Is this
Yeah, that's a Sunday strip without the title panel, and it's so small I can't read it. But it's basically the cat Stinky talking about he wants to go visit angels, and the cat guys are saying angels, and he ends up going to the shelter that rescued him and found him a home, and he considered them his angels.
how much do you enjoy the Sunday strip? How much more freedom do you have with it? You're talking about the title panel, and being able to homage artists that you respect. Do you look forward to Sunday being that really freeing component of your week?
Well, it definitely, there's definitely more room to play, and then it's always fun to do color too on the Sunday pages. And I think being a fan of Crazy Cat, it was the Sunday pages that were just so experimental and so much fun to play with. So yeah, I do look forward to that. But I have to be honest. I mean, I think I flipped. I used to really love the Sunday pages and spent a lot of time on them. But now I like the Zen quality and the simplicity of just 3 panels, and just I really enjoy doing the dailies now. Like I'm a less is more guy, and so how Zen can you go? How less can you go? So that excites me now more than elaborate Sunday pages.
And that's so interesting. So you're evolving yourself. And I mean, you talk. Is this part of that 2 week series?
Yeah, this was this one I picked out here. I'll read this one. It's a dog named Sky. He says, "Sure, I know I'm deaf, but I'd still make a great companion. Just do like I do. Listen to your heart." So the reason I picked this strip to show is as a really interesting story. So I got a letter from a police officer, and she writes that she was part of a drug bust, and it was her job to take the drug dealer's deaf pit bull to the shelter. And she took it to the shelter, but she said she could not get that dog out of her brain and just felt like she had to save that dog. And but she wasn't sure she could. And she came home that night after bringing the dog to the shelter and picked up the morning paper she hadn't read yet. And that strip was in the paper that night. So the next day she went to the shelter and got her dog Sky. So
Wow.
that's one that one's special to me.
And it's extraordinary. It's so. What serendipity you were just talking about, the Zen-like quality that you enjoy now more than the extravagance of the Sunday strip, and that is, I think, the perfect encapsulation of that. That it's so very to the point. You don't have your backgrounds, you don't have all your scratchy ink work, you don't have all. It's just a very, very perfect line, and you capture this dog so beautifully. That last panel is just gorgeous.
Thanks.
And here's another great use of color, though. We go right back to the great balance that you have between using the line so judiciously in that last panel, and now this color palette that just is extraordinary.
Yeah, this is an early guard dog strip. And guard dog's a dog that's chained in his backyard, and the strip is "Beware of Dog," and then the last panel he says, "I might break your heart." And guard dog started out in my sketchbook as I wanted to maybe have a villain for the strip, some mean dog that would give Rola Mooch a hard time that I could do some jokes with. So I drew a tough looking dog, and then I drew a collar around him and a chain, and then I realized, oh my God, this isn't a villain, this is a tragic character. So I added him to the strip to hopefully get people to think about unchaining their own dogs and bringing them in the house. So I've been doing it for quite a few years. I promised I would make the Fatty Snacks Deli vegan, but I also promised that I would let Guard Dog off the chain soon, and that is going to happen soon. I did the Fatty Snacks, so Guard Dog's going to go free soon. But in the meantime, I really do feel like he has a a message to tell. And over the years, it's getting better and better. More and more states are passing anti chain dog laws. So hopefully that will be something in the past soon too. I can't hear you.
No, because I muted myself. I want everyone to be able to hear everything you say. That's something I want to just touch on for a moment, because this hour is going far too quickly. How do you focus your attention and your energy and your time and your spirit on the causes that you choose? It must be so difficult sometimes to say, okay, I have this much time, I have this much energy, I have this much spirit that I can share. How do you find, this is what I'm going to focus on, this is what's going to be of import, this is what's going to make the most impact? Because I think that is difficult for all of us, to find where we can put our efforts to best help each other.
Well, having a deadline helps. I have to do something every day. And, when something's topical in the news, or a certain animal issue, it can become important to me, and I feel like I need to talk about it. I've done some global warming things recently, especially after, Greta was making headlines. She was very inspiring. So I thought, let's touch on that a little more. But, I think overall, I think my real purpose is to show empathy and compassion. And I do feel like, to a certain extent, I hopefully do that every day. If I can get people to, think about how much they love their dog and cat, maybe that love will expand.
That answer was so freaking perfect, because I think that you got the Zen-like quality that we've been talking about almost all this hour, where you talk about, your answer was so succinct and so perfect. You said it helps to have a deadline. And I think that we can expand that to all of us, right? That when you want to make a difference, you can't think about it as this huge endeavor in front of you. You have to think about what you can do that day, or even that hour, or that minute. What's going to make the difference? And then you can move forward from that after you've taken that action, right?
Yep. Well said.
And then you say, secondly, you follow that up with empathy, which I think is how we make it all come together, right? We empathize with our animal friends, we empathize with each other, we empathize with our planet, and we understand how these things can fit together and how we can connect together. And we do that through empathy, right?
Yeah, we're all in this crazy thing together.
Let's look at a couple of more, because I feel like I could keep you for we'd have a power 2 hours, but let's just look at a couple more. This is another Sunday strip. And again, getting a little wonky with process. Is this watercolor? How do you get those backgrounds?
Well, this actually, back in the day, what I used to do was I would do the black and white, then I would make a Xerox of it, and then I would watercolor it, and then I would make a color Xerox, and then you would have to put different numbers for each color for the printer to know what, it's a color guide for them to follow. So this would be not what was shown in the paper, but was my color guide to the printer before I added the numbers. So that's like a watercolor. And I've included a lot of those in the best of book, because they didn't see the newspaper.
Yeah, nice piece. And this is actually a printed page. I love seeing the difference on how it looks printed.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of old comic strips, and the color back in the 1920s and 30s were just gorgeous. And I try my best. You would think in the modern world things would get better, but they don't. The coloring in the old comics were a lot more interesting than the coloring today, but I try my best. This was one of my animal rights strips, where Millie's petting Mooch in the house and saying "sweet dreams," and then you see a factory farm pig dreaming of running free in a chained elephant dreaming of in the circus, dreaming of running free, and a chicken in a cage dreaming of running free, and an experimental chimp in a laboratory dreaming of running free, and then finally guard dog dreaming of being in the house like Mooch.
But what happens when the guard dog does lose his chain? What's going to happen? Like that's a huge part of his story. Do you, and no spoilers, but do you have that figured out? Do you see what the next arc of his journey is?
Well, that's why it's been taking 15 years, even though I've always said I wanted to chain him. And, I do feel like he has a job to do, and I do have an idea of how he's going to go free. And of course, I think at the end of the day, not to spoil anything, but I think he's going to have a good life. He deserves it.
That's so sweet.
I know, going back to that strip, what's nice about that strip, I did that strip literally, I think it's from 10 years ago. And in those 10 years, boy, there's been a lot of bills to help get rid of, chickens and battery cages and factory farms. And Barnum Bailey doesn't have elephants in their circus anymore. There's less and less animals being experimented on in labs. So, you don't see it, but slowly but surely things are getting better.
Yeah, but I mean, work like this does help and does make that journey go quicker. Both, I think that creating that empathy that you were talking about before, I think it allows people who are working toward making these things better to have a tool to show people, but also by just seeing this in the daily newspaper each and every day, people are affected by it. And usually it's little by little, right? It's that trickle, it's a drip. And I think that Mutts is forgive me, this is not going to sound complimentary, but it is. Mutts is that drip. It's that drip every day that people are affected and they may not even realize it, but creating that empathy little by little every day.
Yeah, like I said, I think the comic strip medium is an interesting medium for that, because you get in, like you're part of the family. People relate to these cartoon characters, and I think you can, like a family at a dinner table or a breakfast table. I think issues like that can come up, but kind of in a friendly way, and something to think about. And I think that's the magic of cartooning. You can kind of go below the belt.
So you think Mutts enables conversations too? That's interesting, right?
Yeah. Boy, I picked ones that have too many words. Basically, this is a little chicken on the street introducing himself to people and letting them know how, tough his life is living in a cage, and all he wants is a little, space to spread his wings and raise his kids. And then another woman comes by and he starts the speech over again. And this was done during when California was doing Prop 2, which was to get, chickens out of cages. And so I actually had a website on the bottom of the strip that people could go to and learn more about it. And by golly, they passed Prop 2. So very happy about that.
And again, I would be concerned about this if I was doing this. If I was you, I'd be like, gosh, is this too much? Am I going to push my audience? Are they going to, resist this? Because it's pretty powerful. Those that third and fourth panel, are pretty graphic. And there must have been some concern, like people are like, gosh, I don't want that in my Sunday comic strip. I don't want to be faced with that over my waffles.
Again, I do get concerned at how far I can push things, but I thought this was really important. And, again, maybe, I don't know, but, so this was done before Facebook and all that other stuff. So maybe today it would be different. But again, for all the things I've done, I haven't really gotten that much pushback from animal, rights thing. I once had one of my characters, Sourpuss, make a joke about fake news, but it wasn't a political joke at all. This character, Sourpuss, every once in a while does cat news, and he just talks about things in his house, because he's an indoor cat. And one time he said something, then he made a joke that it was fake news. And I got more letters about that than the animal rights stuff. People upset that, So,
You never know, right? You never know. I know that we're at 8 o'clock and it's the after party. Prince be proud. Can we look at just one more? Because this is Jane Goodall, and I just wanted to get this one on the screen for everybody.
yeah, this is Stinky saying, yes, Mr. Noodles, sometimes I get compassion fatigue. Gee, Jules, how do you get over something like that? Well, my autographed photo of Dr. Jane Goodall helps. And the reason I showed that one was that appeared in the papers, and the Jane Goodall Institute got in touch with me and asked if they could use it on their website. And I said, sure, you can use it any way you want. And I would love to send you the original to give to Jane. And they said, Jane was going to be in New York next week. Why don't you give it to her yourself? So that's when I had the pleasure and honor to meet Jane. And the next slide shows the Me Jane book that I did a little biography about Jane for children.
So I love your journey. I love the fact that you've gotten in touch with so many of the folks that have inspired you. And it's a perfect way to end this evening, because I know that you've inspired so many of us. And we just want to thank you for that.
Thanks so much, Robert. It was so much fun. And I'm looking at your comics rack and jealous. And someday we'll just have to talk about Marvel comics. That would be fun.
I would dig that the most, my friend. I want to ask you a favor. I know that we had some difficulties, so we didn't talk pre-show. I'm going to say goodnight to our audience and play our theme song again on the way out. If you would hang out in the green room, I'd love to to say goodnight to you personally, if you don't mind an extra minute.
No, I'd love to.
All right. This is Patrick McDonnell, everybody. The book we've been talking about all night is Mutts Go Green. Comes out this week. Chris has given you a link to go buy it. Go buy it. If you're not inspired now, I don't know what you're going to be inspired by. Thank you so much, my friend. The work you are doing.
Can I give a fast plug and say you can find more Mutts on mutts.com?
Oh, yes. Chris, throw up mutts.com. He has the Facebook right there, facebook.com/mutts. And then mutts.com is the website itself. Patrick, thank you so much. This has been just delightful, and we really
real pleasure.
All right, thank you, my friend. So that is Patrick McDonnell, everybody, the creator of Mutts. Again, with him off screen, I want to say again, go buy this book, Mutts Go Green, and The Art of Nothing too is a great big book that is just chock full of all that magic you've seen on screen tonight, and it is really an honor to have a creator and an Imagineer and an inspiration like Patrick with us. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Remember, the Power Hour is here every weeknight, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We always have wonderful community building conversations, and we are always here for you. We hope that you will always be here with us. So until tomorrow, my friends, much love and respect. Please be good to each other. Be good to your families, chosen or otherwise. And most importantly, and a lot of us don't take enough stock in this, myself included, be good to yourselves. You need it, and we need you here with us. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, great evening.
We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers.